Well, here we are. I'm in the middle of some big thunderstorms that just rolled through here, and we're going to take a look at those on the radar. We still have flash flood watches up for much of the central and northern Appalachians, with some heavy rain and thunderstorms that'll be going through there over the next couple of days. And we also have severe weather extending from the eastern parts of Colorado and Wyoming on eastward into Kansas and Missouri. So we're going to talk about that, the upcoming heat wave, and all sorts of other exciting things right here on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by shopping on Amazon using our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. Just search and shop. Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there, but it doesn't cost you one extra penny out of your own pocket. You get your stuff, we get a little bit of coin, and the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast can be live with no commercial interruption other than this one. Well, there's one more after this. And also brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. The revolutionary Tempest weather system is yours. You'll become part of the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is on the descriptor to this podcast. And if you use the coupon code SUMMER2025, you will get
10% off. And my
yes.
goodness, Joe, the Tempest weather stations around the area may very well be registering 3 digits, not two, in the temperature department beginning Monday of next week.
That is correct. That is indeed correct. So, literally 2 minutes before we were going to start the podcast, I took a power hit because we had some big thunderstorms, and I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to show them up here on the radar. So just give me one moment, and I will do that. And there they are. Now, they are to my east. You could see Gainesville is just outside on the last couple of frames of the severe thunderstorm warnings that are up for northeastern Georgia and into northwestern South Carolina. But if you want to see where I am, if it's going to let me do this, let's see if it's going to let me do this. So I'm going to put a little dot. That's roughly where I am. Okay, that little purple dot that I just drew in there. So you can see the perspective. The North Carolina state line is about 30 or so miles to my north. The Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina state lines where they meet, that's about 35 miles to my northwest. And now those heavy thunderstorms, as Joe, as powerful as they looked on the radar, I've had far worse than these. I mean, we had wind and some rain, but it wasn't anything exceptional.
It is on the chat board about the fact that the Mets and the Atlanta Braves, the game is in Atlanta, is being held up by rain. And if you look, you could see where Atlanta is, and you could see why the game is being held up because they're just on the final few frames of the loop. They're just south of that one big yellowish blob, which I presume is moderate to heavy rainfall. And it looks like, by the way the entire area of precipitation is moving, that it's going to take at least another 30 minutes or so before the rains finally peter out and end in Atlanta. But of course, you also have to factor in the grounds crew needing to get the field back in shape. The infield, of course, is covered, but maybe they have to take care of a few things in the outfield and other places as well. So I would suspect, if you're a Met fan or a baseball fan, don't expect that game to begin until at the very earliest, maybe like 8:15. But they will play because, as you can see behind this big mass of precip, there really isn't much of anything to write home about. So this is just a delay at the start of the game, but they'll probably get it going soon. And it's interesting that you point out, Joe. I mean, like that line that came on through your area looks like a fairly formidable line, but I'm thankful for you that it was not, or did not prove to be much worse than, let's say, strong or heavy thunderstorms and not severe weather, which could have knocked you off the air for more than just a few minutes.
Yeah, I got all of 0.20 inches of rain out of it. I'm just I'm just checking on my Tempest weather station now, which you can check on your mobile device. I'm sorry, but I had to have at least one shameless self promotion. 146 lightning strikes. The current temperature is, we got to 87 today, and right now it's 74 here at my house. So, yeah, the radar was really impressive. I was kind of thinking we'd probably get more. Now, there's some heavier rain that's to my west and south that still has to play through. So it looks like it's just getting ready to move into Fannin County, and then I'm in Union County, which is the one right next to it. At least, but I think the lightning stuff is mostly done. So hopefully I won't have any other power issues. It was a quick hit. The lights kind of flickered. The internet, the modem turned off and then turned back on again. So we are all back to some semblance of normality. Now we've got. I noticed that SPC has severe weather risk pretty close to you. It's just to your south for tomorrow, and they expanded the area on Thursday all the way up into northwestern New England, and it goes all the way down south into Virginia and North Carolina. They have a slight risk. We'll look at that closer in a bit.
Rich Rothmansky, here's the answer to your question on the chat board. He asked Joe if I'm wearing sneakers tonight. I guess this answers your question. Yes, I am wearing sneakers.
What is the importance about the fact that you're wearing sneakers, if I
I
may
think he's
ask?
taking I think he's taking a little bit of a shot at Mr. Contino, who seems to be very upset whenever one of the TV meteorologists wears sneakers. Of
Oh,
course, if you're on radio or if you're doing stuff like we're doing, I mean, it doesn't really matter because we're not moving around
you're
and
lucky I
people
have
get sensitive
clothes on, for Christ's sake.
anyway. Or I could do my Khrushchev. I could do my
Right,
Khrushchev.
yes. I want the western portion of his east. No, you don't have to order special for me. I will just have a bite of everybody else's.
Yes.
I am seeing also on the radar, Joe. I'll bring that up. Just give me a second here. There are actually some showers on the radar over your overhead over by you. Whoops.
It is conceivable that we have showers right now. I have not had a chance to step outside in a while, but um, we had, up until the time I came down here, about a quarter of an inch total rainfall for the entire day, most of it coming in periods of light rain, mist, and drizzle. And I will say right now that tonight, at least in my vicinity, or at least in my neighborhood, we're probably going to have dense fog. We have the Appalachian Trail is just off to my west, Joe, and there is a hill. We call it Canopus Hill, and there are some occasions when I cannot see Canopus Hill because it's enveloped in fog, and I was just about losing Canopus Hill about an hour ago in draped in fog. It'll probably be a thick, dense fog overnight. So patchy, dense fog, along with areas of light rain, mist, and drizzle. That'll be the story for much of our area tonight. A warm front expected to pass through our area during the early part of the day tomorrow, and then putting us in a more humid, muggier type of air mass for tomorrow. And then there's a chance for thunderstorms and showers again later in the day tomorrow. And then we'll gear up for the possibility of strong to severe weather here on Thursday per SPC.
By the way, we have a bunch of flash flood warnings up in western Pennsylvania. There's like six of them now in the western half of the state, and there's some heavier rain there. There's also some heavy rain in south central PA along Route 78. Now, Route 78 goes really southwest to northeast. It crosses 81 north of Harrisburg, and then you just kind of go your merry way, and it winds its way up into northern New Jersey. But actually, as you move through Pennsylvania, it actually shifts southward, and that's what we were seeing some heavy downpours. just outside of Harrisburg, and then continuing to move to the north and east. So we'll see how much of that holds together. Also seeing some rain in Maine and New Hampshire. And here's I got to make this a little smaller here. Hold on a second. There we go. So here we got the area that's in the southeast, and we've got some more rain that's also moving into parts of West Virginia where they've had a considerable amount of flooding that they've been dealing with, and the heavier storms. The line looks like it's about at peak intensity or may have just peaked out, and we'll see how it holds up as it moves into western North Carolina. Meanwhile, we're seeing in Kansas, very busy in south central Kansas, up to just south of Kansas City. We have a number of severe thunderstorm and flash flood warnings, and I can't. It's hard for me to see. I don't see any red boxes there. It's more like the stronger cells. There's one really powerful complex near the Oklahoma state line. And this is an area where SBC really highlighted today with a moderate risk for severe weather.
And the folks over at the Climate Prediction Center, and you could go to your computer after the show, type in Google Climate Prediction Center, and you can see. And I'm going to put this on my Facebook page in a few moments, Joe. Key messages for mid to late June heat wave. They are saying extremely dangerous heat likely late this weekend into next week from the Midwest to the East Coast, with the first significant heat wave this season. The hottest temperatures of the season so far expected to begin Friday across the plains and then expand this weekend over portions of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and then the heat is expected to shift and persist across the Ohio Valley and much of the East Coast late this weekend through much of next week. They have graded, and this is something interesting, they've graded the extremity of the heat on a scale of 1 to 4. And for the New York tri-state metropolitan area, on that 1 to 4 scale, this ranks a 3, major alert for extreme heat. And there actually are some places at level 4. This would be covering most of northern and central Ohio, the southern end of the lower peninsula of Michigan, a few spots in northern Indiana, northern sections of Illinois, which includes the Chicago area, and eastern sections of Iowa. All of these places I just mentioned at 4 on this 1 to 4 scale of maximum daily heat risk Friday through next Monday. So that really, I think, is the. I saw one of the national newscasts on one of the major networks at 6:30 tonight, and the forecaster was talking about thunderstorms and tornadoes, and yeah, that certainly qualifies as something to talk about. But I personally would have mentioned right off the bat as a headline the fact that this heat is coming in New York City. This may very well be the hottest siege of heat, and also for the immediate tri-state area, northern Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley, Connecticut, Long Island. This may be the hottest siege of weather that we have experienced since 2012. The last time that New York hit 100 degrees at Central Park was in 2012, and I could see that happening early next week. In fact, I could see the tri-state area flirting with the century mark, if not hitting or exceeding it, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Again, we haven't seen this kind of heat in about 13 years, and looks like this heat is coming our way for later on in the weekend and for at least a part of next week. High risk, according to CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, high risk for excessive or extreme heat covering much of eastern New York, eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all the way down to Delaware and eastern sections of Maryland into a slice of eastern Virginia. High risk for extreme heat coming our way on the 25th of June, which would be next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. Get ready for it.
All right, David Fuller, thanks for hitting the super chat. Most appreciated. And as far as, there's thunderstorm risk for both tomorrow and Thursday. I mean, if the graduation is in the morning tomorrow, you'll probably be okay. And I think maybe Thursday you might be okay in the morning, but depending on the timing of the front and storms on Thursday, they might come around midday or early or, early afternoon. So you're dice rolling really on both days. I'm noticing, Joe, on the European for Thursday, the highs. And I mentioned this yesterday. How as you start to get closer, and the model puts out these big numbers, and then they back off a little bit. Um, Now they have temperatures mostly middle 80s for highs in for New York City and north, and you have some 90-degree highs in southern New Jersey, and then you have to kind of go down to North Carolina before you see everybody else is like 88, 89. So that's for this coming Thursday. And if we go forward, so we were talking about this, developing heat for next week. So let's take a look. So Saturday it's middle to upper 80s. For Sunday it's upper 80s to low 90s. Mostly like between 87 and 92 in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. That's Sunday. Monday we're looking at 102. This is the European model forecast for Monday. 102 for New York City, 101 for White Plains. Those are the hottest temperatures anywhere in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. Okay, 102 and 101, New York City and White Plains. Everybody else is like middle to upper 90s. So there's that. And let's see, for me, it's actually lower 90s. Actually, I only have a high of 85 here for me on Monday in North Georgia. So let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday, we have 104 for White Plains, Joe, 106 for New York City, 102 for Islip, 102 for Trenton and Philadelphia, 100 for Millville, 100, I guess that's Lakehurst, 103 for for Baltimore, 104 for Washington, and then upper 90s to low 100s in the interior
So
of Virginia and North Carolina. So that's for next Tuesday. Next Wednesday, again, 101 White Plains, 103. So the European has 3 days in a row of 100 plus temperatures for New York City. And that's Wednesday. And then you've got low 100s, 104 at Baltimore, 103 for, I think that's what is that? Is that a 3 or an 8? It has 108 for Washington, D.C. next Wednesday. 108. Okay. So you want to cool off. You should come down to Georgia because it's mostly low and mid 90s. And the interesting thing about that is that yesterday it was giving numbers above 100. Now they're 5 degrees lower today. So there's Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday it's middle to upper 90s for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, and upper 90s to near 100 in Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina.
well, I will
106,
tell
Joe. 106.
I will tell you that if it does get to 101 at White Plains, as you say, for next week, it has never in the history of weather records at White Plains ever hit above 100 degrees. The hottest temperature in June, I mean, in June now, I'm not for other months. It has gone above 100 in July, but in June, the hottest temperature at White Plains that has ever been recorded is actually a tie, 98, June 27, 1952, and 98, June 21st, 1953. So 98 is the hottest temperature ever seen in the month of June at White Plains. And the hottest temperature White Plains has ever recorded was in July of, well, actually twice here. We have a record here of 102 degrees on the 4th of July, 1966. White Plains hit 102. And then more recently, on July the 6th, 2010, 102 degrees. I remember that. That was a hot one. Those are the only two cases I can see on record at White Plains now, where
Right.
the temperature has reached those kind of levels above 100 degrees. So
All right.
we're
Well,
talking about we're
New York City all-time high is 101 for June. So,
okay. So
so there's that. And by the way, since I put up the dew points at the request of Mansour Contino, but dew points do matter. So we're looking at mid 60s dew points on Saturday, mid 60s dew points, actually upper 60s and low 70 dew points on Sunday. That ought to feel great. And then Monday, we're looking at dew points that start out in the mid 70s in the morning at 8 a.m. Then they drop to the mid and upper 60s. Although, if you go to northern New Jersey, up the Hudson Valley into New England and upstate New York, the dew points there low to mid 70s, and the same for southern New Jersey down into eastern Virginia. Oddly enough, Joe, my dew points here at my house, 64, which is not terrible. Okay. So there's drier air. I guess you could see how the mountains are playing a game here with the ridge, and that you actually have dew points in the low 60s in southern West Virginia, western North Carolina, and North Georgia, and eastern Tennessee. So humid, yeah, I guess, but it's not terrible. And let's go to Tuesday. Let's see what the dew points are on Tuesday. Um, Tuesday dew points are actually in the low 60s, even some upper 50s. And this was the day where it had 106, by the way. So, and then look at the dew points on the European down in western North Carolina, Joe, mid 50s into western South Carolina. Again, it's the sinking dry air of the ridge that's doing it. And June is not usually a month where the atmosphere is saturated tropical air like you normally see in July or later July and August or even early September. There's still the atmosphere is still working on that game on that part of the game. And then Wednesday dew points are actually for you upper 50s and low 60s, which is not terrible. And the dew points down again in the Carolinas and the Western Carolina mountains, mid and upper 50s.
well, I'll tell you, if the temperature on Wednesday is anywhere near 100, I don't care if the dew point is down around 40. It's still going to be a tough day
Oh
to be
yeah.
outside.
Oh yeah. No. It's gonna be uncomfortable for sure.
Now, Scott Briller sent me a message last night, and he said, I know you were talking about consecutive days yesterday over 100 at Central Park. The record at Central Park was three consecutive 100-degree days at Central Park, July 8th, 9th, and 10th, 1993. And that was the same summer, by the way. 1993 tied the record for most 90-degree days in a summer with 39. The last time Central Park hit 100, as I just alluded to a few minutes ago, was July 18th, 2012.
So I just want to go back to the temperatures for a moment here. Just give me a second here. The max temperatures. Now this is weird. Temperature. Wonder why it did this. Let me try something. Hold on just a second. Let's go to the local. Ah, now I know why. Okay. Because it logged me out. Since I have a premium account on Pivotal, but it logged me out. So let's look at the. Oh, just for laughs. No, I don't even know if they have it. Let's see if they have them. Um, this is the European AI model. So just out of curiosity, what the European AI model has for temperatures here. Now they got 2 meter temperatures. They don't have a max temperature map. All right, so let's try and see how this plays out. So let's go to okay. So now we're into Friday. Well, let's go to Thursday. So here's Thursday. So again, the AI is middle to upper 80s, southern New Jersey upper 80s to low 90s. Let's roll this to let's go to Monday of next week. Oh, I'm hearing thunder here, Joe, just so you know. Monday. All right, so Monday, it's got 97 for New York City, 95 for Yonkers, 100 for Trenton, 98 for Philadelphia, 100 for Vineland, which is Millville, Toms River, 97. Brentwood, well, that's actually Islip, is 85. Boston is 87. Worcester, 92. Springfield, 94. All right, so let's go to Tuesday. And Tuesday, this is the European AI. Okay. Now, it's a little more reasonable. 98 at Yonkers, 99 for New York City, 100 for Toms River, 102 for Trenton, 100 at Philadelphia, 101 at Wilmington, 98 at Providence, 94 at Boston. And let's go take a look at Wednesday. Wednesday is 96 in Yonkers, 98 in New York City, 100 at Trenton, 100 at Vineland, 99 in Wilmington, 98 in Philadelphia. I think these numbers that the AI model is putting out is actually, act to me, are a lot more reasonable than the 108.
Well, yeah, I would agree. I would absolutely agree on that. Or it might be somewhere in
Yeah,
between
it
the
could
between
be.
the AI and the GFA. We'll see.
It could be.
We'll see.
Um,
I
uh,
think that we'll get a break in this. We haven't even gotten into it yet, but
right.
people are going to be asking, when is this all going to end? I think the day that we'll finally get a break from the extreme heat will be a week from Friday, the 27th. That'll be when temperatures will drop back noticeably. But up until then, we're talking, Joe. The illusion here is that we might be looking at a heat wave lasting 6 days, which is 6 days too long for me. But that's what we're looking at right now.
hmm Okay. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board and to those of you watching in the background on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Welcome to you too. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. However, by the way, Joe, I got to push the start time back tomorrow to 8:30, if that works for you.
Well, where am I going?
Okay, so tomorrow night's show, Joe. Tomorrow night's show, folks, 8:30. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, just to let you know, I got something I got to do tomorrow. So we've got flash flood watches that are up in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Southeast Ohio, Eastern Kentucky, Western Virginia. They've had a lot of rain there over the last week, and the flooding has been exceptional in some places. We also have a working tornado watch in southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma, with surrounding flash flood watches that are up in the mix as well. Severe thunderstorm watch, southeastern Wyoming, southwest, northwest Nebraska, and southeast Colorado. Then you kind of skip a bit to the south into West Texas, where we've got some severe thunderstorm watches up as well. The area was actually a solid area in Colorado, but I guess they've canceled some of the severe thunderstorm watches that have been put up. And of course, we've got excessive heat um, that warnings that are up in the Southwest, and the first heat advisories are up for Thursday for parts of southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania. So here's the satellite loop tonight. You can see those quite a bit of lightning strikes going on in the west from Ohio and western Pennsylvania, south and west. Uh, you got that area that we showed you in eastern, northeastern Georgia that is now moving into western North Carolina and western South Carolina. Also very busy in the lightning strike department in southern Kansas, where there is severe weather going on there. And you can see it here on the radar close up, where we've got several severe thunderstorm and flash flood warnings up. Yeah, they went for a moderate risk here. But the thing is that there were some thunderstorms. This was one of those situations where they had thunderstorms early in the day, and that may have stabilized the atmosphere to some extent. Because I would have expected to see much more in the way of thunderstorm activity out of this evening. But sometimes that happens where if you get convection early in the day, and then you're waiting for the cold front, the weather front, or the big short wave to come through, and the first batch basically stabilizes the atmosphere after it goes by. Because so that is always something you have to consider when you have lead thunderstorms that break out ahead of a main line. But still, it's busy there with various severe weather warnings. You can see still what's going on in the Northeast and also back. There's two tornado warnings that popped up in northwestern Nebraska. So the Storm Prediction Center, a moderate risk tonight in southern Kansas. You can see the slight risk pushes up into southeast Iowa on one side and into southeast Wyoming and northwest Nebraska on the other. Tomorrow, we've got a marginal risk central New Jersey, southeast Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, Delaware, much of the Delmarva Peninsula, eastern Maryland, and northeasternmost Virginia. Enhanced risk from southern Michigan southwest into Missouri, and that's a 5% tornado risk, which, by the way, includes Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, St. Louis, all in that 5% tornado risk zone for tomorrow, and a 15% risk for hail and a 30% risk for damaging winds. And here's the outlook for Thursday, where we have a marginal risk from Maine to Georgia and a slight risk from North Carolina northward through upstate New York and western New England. Do we get an enhanced risk put in there, Mr. Rayo?
Well, it's possible that we might see one between now and Thursday somewhere. We'll see.
Somewhere over the rainbow. Okay, here we go. Rainfall amounts, convective, quarter to 3/4 of an inch. Sometimes it could be double that locally. Wouldn't be a shocker. It's a little bit more in the Great Lakes and in the upper Midwest. Also a little bit more in southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri, northeastern Colorado. Otherwise, it's fairly typical what you're seeing. And of course, you're seeing nothing in the southwestern part of the U.S., and that is also typical as this is mainly the dry season. So, we're still everything seems to be on course. I mean, I really didn't notice any big changes today in the models. You've got this short wave that's moving through on Thursday that will be the main driver for the severe weather risk that we have. Then that pulls out, the trough lifts up, and a big ridge builds in the eastern part of the United States. It looks like the strongest part of the ridge is going to be Pennsylvania, New Jersey, down into Virginia, West Virginia, and Ohio. And it just kind of sits there Monday, Tuesday, and then it starts to very slowly flatten out at the end of the week and going into the weekend of the 28th, 29th. And then you got a nice trough that swings into the eastern part of the United States and hangs around for a while, which means that the month of July may start off much cooler than the way the month of June is going to be ending.
That's the way it can go sometimes. Bobby Livingsworth questioning me. I said this could be a 6-day heat wave, and he said 5 days, Joe. Well, actually, Bobby, I'm counting off from Saturday. In the lower Hudson Valley, my forecast for Saturday is mainly sunny, hot, humid, 90. That's 1. Sunday, sunny to partly cloudy, hot and humid, near record heat, 93. That's 2. Monday of next week, mainly sunny, record high temperatures, oppressively humid, 99. That's 3. Mainly sunny on Tuesday, record highs, oppressively humid, 100. That's 4. And I said extreme heat likely to persist through Thursday. So that's 5 and 6. Wednesday 5 and Thursday 6. So
Yeah.
there you go. We could very well see in the Hudson Valley 6 straight days of temperatures at or above 90 degrees. Lovely. And
Yes. And
two
of
and maybe
course,
even 3 of those, and 3 of those days will be flirting with the century mark, 100 degrees. Tom
and
Contino, no, that doesn't interfere with my viewing of Bonanza.
right.
May
God,
may may
God,
Hoss Cartwright sit on your chest, Tom.
yes. Well, never mind. Yeah, of course, a 6 or 7 day straight of 90 degrees will be played up as if it were the longest heat wave ever in the history of humanity.
Never has something like this been seen. Yes.
In the New York City, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, three-state, tri-state area. And when you get up to 11 or 12 days, 12 days in a row, tap me on the shoulder and let me know, and then maybe I'll maybe a little bit impressed because
And you
Joe
and
and
I
I
both,
have lived through those kind of heat waves
we
many
were in the
times.
media for a long enough period of time to know, for example, when we have the first snowstorm, the first big snowstorm coming, the TV people will always, the executive producer or the news director will send a reporter to some place where they have salt piled like 20 feet high. And they'll stand in front of the salt pile and say, well, the sanitation, the highway department is ready for the big storm. That's your typical wintertime
Right. It's
stand-in.
groundbreak. It's groundbreaking news coverage.
Yes. Now, in the summertime, usually what they're going to do in a case like this is they'll send at least one reporter, maybe to a pizzeria where they're standing over the hot stoves or the hot ovens, taking the pizza out and standing next to temperatures that are like 170 degrees with the stove.
Right.
Something along those lines. Or maybe they might be different this time around. Maybe they'll find a play, like in the movie Rocky, they'll go into a place where there's hanging meat
Like
in
a
a
butcher's
freezer.
freezer or an ice house.
Right, right.
All right, let's do Briller Jeopardy. And we're on this theme of hot weather, so it's highest temperatures in the following states. That's what we were doing yesterday, so that's what we're going to be doing now. So we'll start with the great state of Colorado. Maggie P, this is your neck of the woods here. The hottest temperature ever recorded in the great state of Colorado.
How about 104?
Oh God, no,
It's a
no, no,
mountainous.
no, no.
It's a
Um,
mountainous state, so I figured, trim the temperature.
Mike Waterhouse Bonsai is closer with 112. Um, and Maggie P nails it, 115. 115. So did Craig
Wow.
Carlberg and Tyler Fengen. 115 for Colorado. How about Connecticut?
How about Connecticut? I would assume it would be someplace like Hartford. What would Hartford get to? 108? I'd say 108.
That's actually too high. But James
Oh,
Davidson nailed it with 105. 105 for Connecticut.
there you go,
Uh,
James.
Delaware, or as some people
Delhi.
I know call it, Hellaware.
I don't know, 109?
All right, that's the best guess you've had all night. That's actually very, very close. Very close. Um, let's see. Bobby Livingsworth really jumped off the deep end at 123. No, that's just a smidge too high. Tyler Fenga gets it 110. So did Chuck Cardillo, 110 for Delaware. Hottest temperature ever recorded in the state of Florida. And I have to imagine this must have been measured like in North Florida and not in South Florida.
Right. I don't know, 102?
No, that's now you're back to being way too low. Highest temperature ever recorded in the state of Florida, folks. Earth Shield, no, 115 is ever so slightly too high. Um, Bobby Livingsworth, you're way off the deep end again at 120. Steve Lapointe, you're closer with 111. Um,
111?
Vincent Croce gets it 109, and so did Rich Rothmansky, 109. And in my state, the highest temperature ever recorded in the state of Georgia.
Oh, I don't know. How about 113?
Again, very close, very close. Vincent and Latex also very close at 113. 114 is a little bit too high, so you now know that Bobby Livingsworth. Okay, you made up Bobby Livingsworth makes up for the big misses by hitting it at 112. 112 for the great state of Georgia. Oh, I hear big rain coming down now. Firing bullets on my roof. All right, I think that we pretty well covered the fact that it's going to be hot. So I think we can call it a night. We're pushing 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. Anything else you'd like to add to the conversation? Any
No,
gossip? Any gossip?
no, there's no gossip. There's no nothing. Well, I mean, I had my permanent crowns put in today, so
Okay, well that's
that was,
good.
that's fun.
And
But
that was that.
the dentist said that there's still some extensive work to be done on my teeth. He took a look at them. He said, you know, you must have been grinding your teeth for many, many, many years. And he also found a tooth in the back of my mouth that he said was chipped. So um, I might as well just open my checkbook and say, here, you know, fill out whatever you need for. And
Uh,
I said to myself, I feel like one of those bridges in New York that's falling apart.
well, if it was a
Extensive
bridge,
renovations.
if it was one of those bridges in New York, Joe, you'd have to have a toll booth in it.
Exactly. Remember and of course there are now politically incorrect cartoons now. Um, the Harvey Toons cartoons with Buzzy the Crow,
Yeah.
and and you know Buzzy was always being chased by Catnip from Herman and Catnip,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently Catnip had an aching tooth, and Buzzy goes into Catnip's mouth, does some construction work, comes out of the mouth, and then holds a mirror up to Catnip's face and says, "There you go, boss, a brand new bridge." And you
Right.
see like a suspension bridge in
Suspension bridge.
Catnip's
Exactly. All right, so folks, 8:30 tomorrow night, okay? 8:30 start time. So we will see you then. My dog is not bothered. Vincent Croce was asking about JJ. JJ has he could care less about thunderstorms. We could sit out on the deck during a thunderstorm with the 50-mile-an-hour wind and pouring rain and lightning and thunder, and he just lays there and sleeps right through it. Just doesn't bother him. Um, but that's him. So everybody, we will see you tomorrow night at 8:30. Night night, Joe.
Tom, my wife does not drive me up the wall. In fact, I have said this before, I will say it again. If I could meet with God a week before I was married and handed him a note as to everything I wanted in a wife, he would have come through with flying colors by providing me with the wife that I have now. So there's no teeth grinding due to domestic issues or domestic problems. Um, Maybe it's some other reason why I grind my teeth, but it certainly has nothing to do
It could
with.
be it could be because of some of the audience members. But that's
It
another
could
story.
be.
It
It
could
could
be.
be. Yeah.
Maybe it's because of Tom.
Good night, everybody.
Night.